I want to have a conversation with you today about what I think is the best era when it comes to investing in sealed Pokemon card products right now. And like I said, this is a conversation. This is one of those videos where there are no graphics at all up on the screen. So if you're going for a spin, pop it on in the car while you're going for a drive. If you're going for a walk or at the gym, maybe put it on in the headphones. And if you're at home, pop it on the telly while you're doing some housework or sitting on the couch. Speaking of pop it on the telly, there is some merchandise now out for PokeOz. So if you want to support the channel and join the movement, so to speak, you'll see it below the video. There'll be some merchandise down there. And just a quick shout out, of course, to today's video sponsor, which is the Collector app. There'll be a link in the description to download that one. I'll talk more about that in upcoming videos, of course, but it is today's video sponsor, Collector. Amazing app for all your sealed and singles and investing and collecting needs. Right, on to the topic at hand. Pokemon card investing 2026, and what is the best era to invest in? I think it's a no-brainer in my opinion. And I say it's a no-brainer because cost versus benefit, I think this is the best era right now. And I'm talking Sword and Shield. We can go way back. Like, 2025, people could have gone, oh, Sun and Moon was the best era to invest in. And it probably was for 2025. We saw massive growth through a lot of Sun and Moon sets, a lot of those mid-era sets like Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm, a lot of those late-era tag team sets. We all know what Team Up did in 2025. We all know what Cosmic Eclipse and Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds, like they doubled, tripled in price and got to amazing stages in their price points that we were maybe not expecting. And I think a similar thing will happen to Sword and Shield this year. Maybe not to the extent that we've seen for some of those Sun and Moon sets, but I want to talk to you about why I think this is the best sealed investment era. One thing we could also say is you could go way back in time in 2024 or 2025 and buy older booster boxes for very expensive prices, but there are risks associated with that. I mean, there's also plenty of positives associated with that, don't get me wrong, but keep in mind, there are fake boxes out there for very old sets, Wizards of the Coast era sets, EX era sets. They're damn expensive. Like, you got to have some serious capital behind you to even buy one. Stuff could happen in postage. I've seen examples, where boxes get wet and soggy and the packs inside. Like, anyway, there's problems with that, but I think the sweet spot from a price point right now is Sword and Shield. Of course, there's cheaper booster boxes you can buy. Like, you can buy, of course, very modern Phantasmal Flames, or you can buy even some Scarlet and Violet boxes, of course, cheaper than what you can buy Sword and Shield. But here's why I think Sword and Shield will do the best this year. And that's the first reason is price point. I think it's at that sweet spot where it's not too expensive that you got to spend, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 US dollars on a booster box. And it's got some age behind it where it's at the price point where it's not, super cheap. It's not $100 or $200 or $300 a booster box anymore. And you could argue, oh, we've missed that massive growth as well. We've missed that 3x from buying at $100 and it going from $300, or buying from $200 and it going from $600. But that's beside the point, because all these points I'm about to make, I think, really add some weight as to why Sword and Shield's the best era. First of all, it's got some age on its side. Most sets are sitting around 4 to 5 years old now. If we look at the major sets like Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike, they're sitting around that 4 to 5 year old mark. And that means really that everything is out of rotation. The chance of anything getting reprinted are next to zero, near on impossible. Like, we will not see reprints of any Sword and Shield sets, in my opinion, particularly the strong ones like Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike. Like, it is done. It has age on its side. And even the fact that some of the, worst performing Sword and Shield sets, like I've talked about these for a little while, Battle Styles, even Vivid Voltage, these sets are the same booster box price as what you can buy the bang-on modern sets that are in rotation for the next 3-4 years. Like, it's just, like, the next 3 years these sets are in rotation. It's just insane to think that you can buy sets that are 5-6 years old and they're the same price as a set that's just come out. Like, you cannot discredit the importance that age has on a sealed product. The second point I guess I wanted to talk to you about is your money can still be put to work. Okay, we made the point before that we're not buying at $100 or $200 anymore. Like, that's a counter argument. Like, you missed the boat on these. Of course, the best time to buy it was 1 to 2 years ago, but you can still double your money. And you can go, well, let's take an example like Surging Sparks at $250 a booster box. Oh, that's got more chance of doubling to $500 than, Chilling Reign has doubling from $1,000 to $2,000. Well, that might well be true. We don't know. Like, no one has a crystal ball. Fusion Strike could be $2,500 in the next 12 months. Who knows? Like, we don't know that. I get the argument though. A cheaper set has more chance of doubling than maybe a more expensive set in a shorter time frame. Yeah, but the counter argument to that point is if Surging Sparks is $250 and Fusion Strike's near on $1,000, I'm just rounding it up, you've got to buy 4 Surging Sparks booster boxes and sell 4 Surging Sparks booster boxes and cop fees on them all to achieve the same result as you do from buying 1 Fusion Strike booster box. So what I'm trying to make, or the point I'm trying to get to, is that before it gets out of hand, before they become way too expensive, like those boxes I was talking about before, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 boxes, even $8,000 boxes, your money can still be put to work. There's still time for your money to be put to work. Yes, you might have missed those initial gains, but it's not too late. Your money can still be put to work. The other point I wanted to make about Sword and Shield is don't be discrediting the importance of nostalgia. And you might go, well, there's no way that's nostalgia. Like, PokeOz, you're 35. How do you have any nostalgia towards Sword and Shield? What you've got to remember is Sword and Shield has I guess, it is the first main era where investing and content creating, YouTube, a more mainstream rip and ship culture really came to fruition. And whether you call that nostalgia or whether you just call that a mark on the timeline of Pokemon's history, neither of those probably terminologies matter in this point. What matters is the fact that people will turn back to here and they will agree with that. They will say, yes, Sword and Shield era was the time when I started investing in Pokemon cards. I started keeping things sealed. It was the time that I started watching YouTube videos. It was the time that we saw, PokeRev getting millions of views, ripping open old packs. It was the time that everyone's flame got reignited. Now, that's not the case for everyone viewing this, of course. Some of you guys and girls watching, you might have been reignited by 151. You might have been reignited by Prismatic Evolutions. You might have been reignited by Destin Robbs. You might have just got back into the hobby trying to chase that Phantasmal Flames Charizard. Like, there's so many different points where people might have had that flame reignited, but for a lot of people, it was Sword and Shield era, and I don't think you can discredit that point. Now, the other thing is, talking about the rip and ship culture and the YouTube culture and the opening culture, don't discredit how much that happens. It still happens a lot. Product is still being ripped and it is not being replaced. There's a little slogan, isn't it? Ripped, not replaced. Sword and Shield is being ripped, not replaced. And that's true. Like, it just is. It's still getting ripped. People still love to try and chase the Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies, the Dragonite from Evolving Skies, the Rayquaza from Evolving Skies, the Blaziken from Chilling Reign, the Giratina from Lost Origin, the Gengar from Fusion Strike. It is still being ripped in the masses because it's still relatively cheap per pack to open compared to a lot of vintage sets. And you can pull some very expensive chase cards that'll be even more expensive if they grade a 10. And the grading rate or the gem rate for a lot of Sword and Shield sets is 50-60%. So in some cases even more than that. Like the Umbreon VMAX is sitting around like 64%. So it is just being ripped and it is not being replaced. There is no extra product being printed. And what does that mean? It means that supply of sealed product is going to continue to dwindle. And what's going to happen then? It just naturally puts upward pressure on the price of the sealed product. Coupled with the fact that we've got this broader market growth attached to the whole hobby at the moment. We've seen this quite clearly over the last 12 to 15 months, and I don't think it's slowing down. It's certainly not showing signs of slowing down of Ascended Heroes. It's certainly not showing signs of slowing down with the 30th anniversary in the not too distant future. It's not slowing down, and this broader market growth that, yes, people leave the hobby, but people come into the hobby, and maybe more people are coming into the hobby than people are leaving the hobby. That means the hobby grows. That means more and more people reach out to access to distribution and try and get products to sell it because they know they can make good margins out of it. And with that, some people might want to go back in time. Some people might go, well, I'm going to be a booster box collector, or I'm going to be an elite trainer box collector, or I'm going to be a booster bundle collector. And what do you know? They go back in time and buy these products because they want it as part of their collection before it gets too dear. Finally, I don't know, there's more, I guess, I guess there's more market data around Pokemon being a clear investment tool, isn't it? You know, there's of course apps like Collector that show you all these set analytics and possible market growth and trends, and even, you know, mainstream media is touting it as a strong investment now. And Sword and Shield, for me, just to reiterate and recircle the whole way around my whole argument, is it just hits the sweet spot at the moment. You can still get Chilling Reign for a very reasonable price. Like, that is such a good investment in 2026. You can still buy Lost Origin at a reasonable price. I was just almost screaming down the phone 3 months ago during the dip, especially when a lot of Sword and Shield boxes pulled back. Like Brilliant Stars pulled back to like 800 Australian dollars, which was like 400 to 450 US. And I was just like, if that doesn't scream goodbye right now, I don't know what does. And look what's happened over Brilliant Stars in the last 3 months. I can't speak for US prices, I haven't looked at the data, but here in Australia, like, you cannot buy a box for near on under 1,200 Australian dollars. So in 3 months, it's gone from 800 to 1,200. Like, there's just so many good opportunities with Sword and Shield still. Astral Radiance is an underrated set. Fusion Strike will go down as one of the greatest collectible sealed booster boxes in my opinion, and Evolving Skies certainly shows no signs of slowing down in my opinion. Even the box art on Silver Tempest with Lugia on there, like, yes, okay, there's some poor sets in Sword and Shield, we all get that, but there's also some really good collectible old art with trainer gallery sets inside here, which in my opinion, it will just show no signs of slowing down in 2026. I think it is the best era to park your money into. If you compare it to, say, Scarlet and Violet, yes, Scarlet and Violet has some cheaper booster boxes. Yes, they're going to see some growth, but there's still so much supply in the market compared to Sword and Shield. If you want to get in early and play the long game, of course, Scarlet and Violet is a phenomenal investment. But if you're looking for truly what I think is the best overall era for investment and growth for 2026, I think it's Sword and Shield. I'm Michael. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning into the channel. Your support means a lot. I'll catch everyone next time. This is PokeOz.